Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the I Got Nothing podcast. I'm your host, Medusa Maybe, and this is a podcast where we talk a little bit about a lot of shit. So, I know in my first episode, I know that I said I was going to talk about the Starfield debut, but it is Father's Day weekend. So, I decided to put Starfield on for another podcast, and today I'm talking to some of my homies about being a father. They're also all gaming dads, so they all play it. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of talk about how they play video games with their kids, if there's any bonding, what does that look like, and just, get some opinions from them as men, as fathers, and just have some laughs and share some stories. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. And why don't we go around really quick and just let everybody know who you are and tell them a little bit about your kids.
Okay, I'm Jacob Lyon. I have a 5-year-old named Davis Lyon. Birthday March 23rd. Little
March, baby.
Aries. There we go. Yeah, I'm family. That's my little Aries, but yeah, that's me and my family.
He was
All right.
chosen.
All right. Kevin.
Hey everybody, Kevin, father of seven, made that rhyme. Yeah, father of
I
seven.
love a hip hop type
We
kids.
do it all over here.
You got love a hip hop type kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Seven.
Dang. What are their age ranges? Where are their age ranges?
My youngest is 20. My youngest is 20, and the oldest is 26.
Oh, so they like
27.
So close.
27. She just
Yeah.
turned
so
27.
they like lightweight kind of back to back to back. Nice. Well, at least they're all 20s though. They out there though. It's like, yeah.
No, they still here. They
Oh.
still most of them. A lot of them are still here.
Yeah.
Couple of them are out there in the world, but a lot of them are still here because some of them they're like in that buffer zone age because
Yeah.
I'm not with that, put them out at 18. When they're ready to go, they're ready. When they're ready, then they're ready. Right now they ain't ready.
All right.
Seven
All right,
kids.
that's
Someone gonna have to
cool.
get ready a
Yeah.
little bit quicker. Like, I ain't gonna force you out, but I'm gonna try and help the process a little bit.
I got we got two out. We have two out of the house
Okay.
right now. I got a couple that are in school, so we were like,
Okay.
hey, if you're in school, like
Yeah.
it's 2023. Can't nobody just be out there like on their own nowadays, and you're in school, so as long as you're in school, you're doing what you need to do. You ain't gotta worry. If you don't have to worry. Like we're your support while you do that.
Mhm.
Got you.
That's heavy what
All
you said.
right.
It is hard.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello.
Kyle.
So, what is up, everybody?
I mean, follow Marvel. I keep saying Kyle. Be fucking up.
It's okay. It's okay. So the Fall of Marvel, your friendly neighborhood blurred. Glad to be back doing on the panel with my sis Medusa. It's been forever.
Yeah, it
So
has.
but yeah, so yes, I'm a father of a very energetic 3-year-old. We got one more on the way, 2 months
That's
out.
right.
So
Okay.
yeah, the second prince is on his way.
Team
Oh,
no
oh,
So
it's
school.
a boy. It's a
yeah,
boy. Oh.
Oh, right on. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Oh, he
And he
froze.
froze.
Damn,
That is
everybody
a
freezing.
that is a
Well,
perfect screenshot too. Look
go,
at that.
go ahead, because I know you're doing
yeah.
it, Ryan.
Nah,
Oh,
I
there you
ain't
go.
got
So
to.
You froze a little
yeah,
bit, Kyle. We lost you.
yeah. But I
Got
do
him.
have another one on the way.
No
But
problem.
yes, but that's my intro. There you go. So
Okay, we'll see in like a few minutes. We'll see in a few
all right.
seconds. Okay, all right, Ryan.
Hi, I'm Ryan, the immature dad. I am a father of two little boys, 6 and 4, Caleb and Noah, Leo, and a Cancer. There's a lot of crying going on in my house, if you were wondering. You know, the
Including
Yeah.
you, right?
yeah,
Including
no,
you.
it's
Okay.
mostly me. I was the
Okay.
one, I was the one
Right.
crying. They're wonderful kids, smart kids, love running around. One of Caleb, the older one, is a gamer himself, so that makes life interesting and fun. Noah doesn't care about games at all. He threw a Switch the other day, and I was like, all right, no more of that for you.
Right.
Oh my lord, it's too expensive. The kids be tossing the
hmm
electronics. Can't do that.
Yeah, and that's it. Love them to death, but glad when they're not here.
Okay. Okay. And then the president has joined us. So my friend Charles Fox has joined us. So Charles, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and tell us about your kids.
Yes, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm Charles Fox. I'm a father of two. I have a 4-year-old. He's about to be 5 in September, and I have a 9-month-old who will be 10 months next week. Actually,
All right.
I'm done. I'm not having any more kids. I'm with Ryan. I have capped out. I don't have any
He
more. What
said
we
two.
call,
I'm good.
I don't have
Yeah.
any more bandwidth for any more kids.
Wow, man.
Um, and it's not even just a financial consideration at this point. For me, I'm 40, and I could
Yeah.
not imagine going through the process of the newborn stage again because
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I'm tired. I'm
Hell,
tired all the time, so
Yep.
I'm good. I love
Bro,
my children. I love being a father, but I think two is a good. I got very lucky. I have a boy and a girl, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and
Yeah.
cut my
That
losses and stop right there.
bro, I
that's
just
why I
became a
stopped.
grandfather.
yeah. I only had me and my son's mom. We split time like equally throughout the year, and I'm still getting my ass whooped. I get it.
No, but
Listen.
Shoot, one of my kids just had a kid.
Mm.
That's right.
Oh,
You're a grandfather.
congratulations.
Yeah, so I'm like,
yeah.
Congratulations.
I'm
Whew.
just, I'm just glad like they come around. The baby, he's quiet. I'm just like, oh god, he's so quiet. Yes, I love that. He doesn't say anything,
He'll
and
talk back.
I
Don't
hope,
ask
I hope I hope
nothing.
he continues the trend.
All right, Paul, Kevin.
Whew.
Let's go.
Y'all are killing me. This is about to be fun.
Yeah,
My
we're
eye is watering. I can't even focus because Charles had me cracking up. Okay, like it's like I just want y'all to know I'm tired.
My man
This is
just tapped
it.
out.
Look,
And
So
Oh my
if I could
goodness.
just point out, and I'm going to point this out because it's obvious, all of this was not here like a few
I
days
was about to ask about that. I'm gonna tell you, you had the road going on. I'm like, where'd that come from?
that is a new thing. When I say new, I mean from like March to like May. That all popped up. So I'm good on any more kids. I'm gonna be
So
the best father I
basically,
can.
you graying like Barack Obama did his
Yep.
second term in
Oh yeah,
presidency, but
I'm
he just
second
like
term
went
Obama.
gray.
Yeah, it just popped up. Yeah.
Look,
Got you.
I can't. I
Oops.
can't anymore. I wanted a girl so bad,
Mm.
but I'm gonna
yeah.
tell you right now, if I had a third boy, I would put him up for adoption. I grew up
you,
in a house of boys. I don't want it.
you say you want a girl till you actually have them.
Look,
Yeah.
everyone tells me that. I
Because
know what
I mean,
I
don't get me wrong. Like my daughters are awesome, but it is so damn hard telling they asses no.
see.
Yeah.
I'm
That's a
okay
man
with that.
thing.
See,
It
I'm
is
That's a
okay
so
man
with
damn
that.
thing. That's a
hard.
man thing because I tell my daughter all the time, no. If she be telling me something, I'd be like, no, no.
See,
Listen, I wanted to
I
have a daughter
Mm.
just so I could give
Mm-mm.
her.
That must be a man thing, not wanting to yell at like the girls because
That's
I don't got a
right.
problem with
My
doing that. Like
rider.
no, but
I'm gonna
no.
tell you right now, I wasn't gonna say no to nothing at all.
Nothing.
I was
Not a
ready,
thing.
and my wife knew. She was like, "You don't want a girl because the one time you tell her no, I was like, who telling her no? It ain't gonna be me." She have what? Let me have
Listen,
had a girl who's as cute as my two sons. I promise
Yeah.
you, she would have
look,
got whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted, as quick as she wanted. I
my
was ready.
son
I
already
would
get
have been the
away with
problem.
everything.
I would have been the problem,
Okay.
and I would have been completely okay with that.
Oh, y'all are killing
But
me.
with
Uh,
my
Y'all are killing
sons,
me.
I'm not okay with being a problem now anymore because they.
Mm.
Y'all are killing me. That is oh my gosh. We see, look, and just like that, that was a lot right there because one of my questions for you all was I'm gonna try to get into the deep stuff and then try to say the fun stuff for the end or whatever. But what
Mhm.
I would love to know is how has fatherhood shaped you? Like, what are some of the great things about fatherhood? But what are some of the things about fatherhood where you was like, man, nobody told me about this, or they could keep what are some of those? I think it's really important to have like a genuine, real conversation about the good and the bad things about being a father. So whoever wants
for
to do it.
me, I'll go
Oh,
first.
okay.
For me, it
Mm.
was like they don't tell you how little control you actually have over your kids. You know what I mean? Like you hear all this stuff, you read the books, or you see something, you hear stuff even from your parents or your family, and it's like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. And sometimes it's like your kid is really just their own
Mhm.
unique person, and sometimes we do stuff. for reasons that you just, you know what I mean? Like you have no idea why they did that. And it's not always like bad enough to punish. So it's like really these situations where you get into as a dad, you like, what the fuck am I supposed to do to that?
Yeah,
What am I?
that was me yesterday. I,
Like,
yeah, no. To kind of piggyback off what Jacob said, he's right. Like having children with strong personalities, as a parent, you love seeing that, but you hate dealing with it. Like the
Mhm.
one thing I'm not worried
Mhm.
about is I'm not worried about my kids being taken advantage of or anyone bullying them because they have very strong personalities. They have no problem telling anybody no. And when I say anybody, that includes me and their mother. They say no to anyone. If you tell them not to do something and they decide they want to do it, they're going to do it. The other day, I told them, hey, sit still, don't move. I'll be out of this meeting in 15 minutes. I come out, the whole downstairs smells like bug spray and like bug spray. I'm like, what are you doing? What happened? They had a spray war. My youngest is like, Caleb
yeah,
sprayed me. And then Noah's like, well, he sprayed me first. And so they decided to take bug spray and odor killer and spray each other with it. And this is the
yeah,
whole downstairs just smells. For
Oh my lord.
no no reason. I've never. And then the problem is you try not to be your parents because I'm pretty sure most of us probably grew up the exact same way. Where if we did something like that, you getting the shit knocked out of you. You getting put in a wall, or and I'm sorry if I'm not supposed to curse. I'm sorry,
Yeah, you're okay.
but
This podcast
okay,
you can curse. I'm fine.
okay, cool. Like, and I try not to do that. Like, I try not to curse at my children. I try not, I don't put my hands on them. But boy, yesterday I'm not gonna lie to you, I cursed them out.
yeah.
I was cursing at them. I was I was spitting while I was yelling. Like it was horrible. Like it was bad. Like I have never been that angry at either of my sons before. And that's what they don't that's what's impossible to prepare for.
Right.
You
Mhm.
don't know what's really going to be the thing that sets you off and you try not to react in a way that's going to mess them up or you're just trying to make sure you raise well balanced people. You try not to give them the same issues that you may have with your parents or whatever. And I think one of the biggest things, I'm sure we all try and overcompensate in one way or another for something that we didn't have growing up. That's where I'm kind of like, all right, well, I want to be better than my father was, so I'll do this.
Right.
But sometimes I overdo it, and it may be at my children's detriment. Sometimes.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
hard. That measurement of am I doing too much? Am I pulling
Hmm.
back too far? Like that shit.
Yep.
Dang.
yeah. No one ever told me that you'd be constantly like questioning yourself. Like, yo, did I just
Yeah.
did I do that good, or did I really just like fuck them up?
Listen. Every day, yeah. Did I fuck my kid up?
Yep.
No. Like every
And then
day.
Yep.
and and then no one ever tells you, prepares you for like these are legit like little human beings.
Hmm.
Like my son Kevin. I remember one time I woke up 3 o'clock in the morning to the smoke alarm going off. And what was it? It was his little ass in the room with a bottle of oil sheen, and he sprayed the entire can. Like he sprayed he emptied the entire can. When I walked into the room, it was like a thick fog, and the oil sheen is what set off the smoke detector. And he's just sitting there, just smiling, face
Having
just
the time of his life.
shiny as shit. He just, and we're like,
You know that like that's so perfect. Cause your kids be having a time of their life. Like
Mhm.
they
Hmm.
just blissfully just be enjoying it. You know what I mean? It's
Blissfully
not
bad.
malicious.
my
It's not
son
malicious.
Jonte.
It's not nothing.
No one ever warned me about the stubbornness of kids.
Yeah.
This kid was so stubborn as a kid. He literally he wanted some water, but he was mad because there was no ice in it. And I was like, "Well, Jonte, we don't have any ice right now. You just got to drink it like it is." And he was like, "I don't want it." I was like, "Bro, so what are you gonna do when you in the desert? It's the middle of the desert, and you got some water but no ice. What you gonna do?" He was like, "I'm going
Die.
to die."
Yep. That's
Why
my
you asking?
youngest.
You know I would die.
Told mother
You
kids,
got it.
"Hey, you try to push that as a parent. Hey, look, you got to go to school because if you don't go to school, you don't get a good job. And if so what are you going to be when you grow up? Nothing."
Yo,
And don't let them pull up any kind of actors or musicians who didn't go to school because then they use that as an example. But it's like, but that's not you though. You ain't right now. You ain't got that talent.
I've heard you sing.
Spit out an album right now. Give me an album right now. No, all right, take your ass back to school.
But then you know another thing that crosses me up is sometimes I think that same way. But I was also part of the generation where our parents was like, video games are trash, video games aren't going
Mm,
anywhere. And
mhm.
now I'm 33 looking at
Should have
12
been a
year old.
streamer.
You know
Should
what
have been.
I'm
A,
saying?
we could have
So
started
I'm
the
like,
streaming. We could have started the streaming boom. Our generation could have
so there's
started the
a
streaming.
there's a there's a space of like my brain that I have to like leave open for like new shit, new
Yeah.
stuff that he might be into, stuff that he's into. You know what I mean? Like, but
That's
yeah, his
good.
personalities, man. Oh my
So I
goodness.
mean, in terms of you guys being fathers versus your fathers, how have you tried to be different?
So
So,
go ahead,
Be
Charles.
there.
No, Charles. I like to hear Charles. Sorry.
yeah, let the president speak. The
Yeah.
president's got to get some words in. Let the president speak.
Um, thank you for that. No, for me, my father was not. He was not a nurturer in that sense. He was not sort of the "I love you every day, hugs and kisses" type of dad. Don't get me wrong. He was a great father, but he was from a different generation. He was born in 1944, so he came
Mhm.
from a different sort of mindset. So for me, I guess on some levels, I try to overcompensate for that because I want my son to know, I want both my kids to know that they're loved, to know they can come to me. So I feel like there's a certain level of, excuse me, there's a certain level of patience that you have to tap into with children that I did not know I had that level of patience. I feel
Mm,
like there's just things that my son, especially my son, because he's entering sort of the years where he wants to kind of exert his dominance and his kind of independence. Ryan, I know you know about that,
Mhm.
where he's kind of doing things to test boundaries,
mm,
to test me, to test his mother. Like I just last night, I heard him with his mom, just like not listening to her at all, just doing whatever
mm,
he wanted to do. And she's very sweet, she's very nurturing, she's very soft spoken. So I have to come in there and be an asshole and yell at him,
mhm.
And it's like I feel bad doing that, but somebody has to kind of lay the law down and just be like, look, you're not going to speak to your mother any type of way. You're not going to, and he's not, don't get me wrong, he's not a disrespectful kid,
Right.
but
Hmm.
I'm just trying to get him to a point where he understands because he always comes home and says, I listen at school. And it's like, dude, if you listen at school, you're going to listen to us at home
Yeah.
type of thing. It's like, we
You
don't want
thought.
you doing things at school that you don't think we're worthy of.
Mhm.
But
Right.
some of that is just him wanting to kind of express his independence. So I get it. But for me, I just want to be everything my father was, but also everything my father wasn't. And that's again, that's not a knock on him. He parented the best way he knew how. He didn't have a manual on this thing. He did the best he could, but I feel like there are certain avenues and certain situations where he could have been more nurturing, more understanding. Just I'm just trying to get to a point where I can, balance that being nurturing with also being. I don't want to be a disciplinarian, but I do want to have structure. And we might get into this, but I'm not somebody who really wants to beat my kids.
Yeah.
That's not my thing.
That actually brings into a good question because Ryan and I briefly were talking about this when we had our little like mic check, sound check earlier. Um, I was not. I probably could have been a kinder parent. I was not horrible. I wasn't like beating my kid. We all kind of grew up old school. Switches and weapons, and I didn't do all of that. However, because I was young, because I was having issues with her father, like a lot of like him wanting him to be more involved in her life and stuff like that. Um, being young, being in college, all that, learning how to like live on my own and balance bills. Like my parents didn't tell me how to do all that. They didn't tell me how to be. They want you to be an adult, but they never tell you how to function as an adult. So
Mm,
trying to be a young parent, being a single parent, and then still trying to have a life, like I wasn't the most patient mom. And I probably definitely could have been a little bit kinder when my daughter was young. So,
yeah,
but I will say I am not a gentle disciplinarian parent. So like in the world of where now people are, and I forget what is it called, Ryan? What is it called?
Gentle
Where you're not
parenting
really
or
disciplinary? Is it gentle parenting? Is that
gentle
just what it's
parent?
called?
Yeah, gentle parenting. I
Um,
think that's what you're
are
talking
you
about.
guys trying to be more of the gentle parenting side? Or do you
yeah.
do a little bit of punishment here and there? Do you do sometimes physically discipline your children if the situation calls for it,
For
And
me,
with
Pretty
you being
disciplined.
men,
yeah,
you guys are all strong. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I know you ain't trying to, hurt or break the kids,
right.
anything like that. But, do you guys do you guys go more in the gentle parenting, or are you a mix?
For me, it's kind of a mix. Like my wife was the one who kind of started the conversation about gentle parenting just because of our background. She didn't want to she didn't want our kids to have the same issues that we might have, right? Because again, we're we're all black adults. We know what a black
Mhm.
household is like growing up. You can get beat with any and everything, for the smallest things. And so with my kids, we don't spank them typically. Like we may pop them every now and then. Like I think I've spanked them once, and that was with a cloth belt. So yeah, no, there's no real reason behind it outside of the actual, like, hey, there's no real reason.
Right.
And my kids also don't respond to physical discipline. So
Mm.
there's no reason for it at this point. Like even when I said yesterday, hey, I was yelling at them. You notice I didn't say, "Hey, I put my hands on them." The
Right.
reason
Right.
why is because at this point they don't respond to it. So what's the point of it? My kids respond to taking things. So now
Mhm.
I do believe kids need to be punished. Like because again, these are small children. You want to teach them responsibility, right? And sometimes they're depending on their personality, you have to teach them consequences in order for them to learn responsibility. And that's what I've kind of focused on personally is, hey, you did this, so this is what happened. So you may be okay with the consequence, but you need to understand that there is going to be a consequence for your action. So if you do this, if you do A, then B may happen. That's my outlook.
So
Right.
really quick, Kyle,
Yeah.
I'm really interested in how you, because I know that your son, and I might be saying this wrong, so please forgive me and correct me if I do, because your
Mhm.
son is special needs, is he not?
Yes, around this time, it was around this time last year or so. And I do apologize if I cut in and out because my internet's just being real stupid right now. So
Okay.
if I freeze, it's because it's trying to reconnect.
Okay.
But yes, this time last year he was diagnosed with level 2 moderate autism.
Mm.
So and that was something that we essentially had been looking out for since he mm, early on, like, it's just something that we just, well, us being first time parents, we were just kind of looking out for everything.
Mhm.
Probably more so his mother than me, but still at the same time, it was just always like those little nuances and things or
Mhm.
whatever that we kind of noticed growing up. So, but I did have some experience with it because my younger brother was also autistic growing up. So, but me and him have a really good relationship even to this day. So we were always kind of joined at the hip. So it kind of gave me a little bit of a leg up with our son, but it's just a simple fact that, and it's kind of goes back to what you guys earlier were saying when we were talking about like things that they don't teach you.
Mhm.
And one of those things, it's like, you know, on top of not knowing what the playbook is being a new father, but how do you handle the tendencies of a neurodivergent child?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that has been really the biggest uh obstacle for him because it's a whole different strategy that we have to go about with it and whatnot. And uh just how to go about like getting ahead of his tendencies that he has, because he doesn't have a problem with learning. Like he absorbs everything like a sponge. He's an extremely smart child.
Mhm.
And but he kind of has like emotional problems. So like
Mhm.
he has his first instinct is to kind of go the extreme route. Like his first thing is to go to meltdown mode when he gets upset. And we
Mhm.
try to get ahead of that, but it always seems like every time we do, nothing ever seems to work. And we know he can't help it, but at the same time, it's always difficult because it's on the strength of where we may have to be looking out for ADHD too, but he's too young to get diagnosed for that, so we don't
Mhm.
know. So the reason being is for that is because again, with his meltdowns, he tended to has like a few more violent tendencies. So like we've definitely
Mm.
caught a few blows from
Mm.
him, which has made it extremely difficult because it's like frustrates me being a dad trying to figure it out and knowing that he can't help it, and it's more so because we can't help him the way he needs to be helped.
Right.
So but the only thing I can say I'm thankful for is that we were able to find a lot of programs and stuff to kind of uh help him with that. And
Does it work?
you
Is
know
it
uh
working?
for the most part, for the most part, it is really helping.
Okay. I
But
meant helping,
it,
not
it
working. Helping.
but it will try.
Yeah.
The tricky thing is that, like, with him being as smart as he is, we kind of run into that thing to where it's like, he's gotten to that selective stage to where, he knows where to act out, with certain things or whatever. It's particularly just with us, but everywhere else he's completely fine, because luckily for us, he's he's what they call a social sensory seeker. So he's not like the typical thing that most people think that autistic kids are, because sometimes, like, they typically want to be alone, they don't like to be
Right.
touched and all that, whatever. He's the
Right.
complete opposite. He's a very social kid.
Hmm.
So it helps that he is that, because he's perfectly fine in other settings. So he did about I want to say probably like a month of preschool before school went out. Loved it.
Hmm.
So
Oh, yay.
he absolutely loves being around other kids and things like that. So we try to give him a lot of different new spaces, for him to kind of soak that in, because it's like, again, he's constantly absorbing things like a sponge all the time. So it's
Uh, there you go. He froze. Ah, he said he was going free, so we may have just lost him. But so
okay.
hopefully he'll have to. Oh, oh,
Yeah,
there you
it's
go. There you go. You
that's gonna
froze, and
happen.
then
I
we got
keep
you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep coming back and forth like that, unfortunately.
Okay, that's fine.
But yeah, like, it's been a treat, like,
It's been a
watching
road.
him kind of develop the way he has, like, even amidst the difficulties, though. Like, it's
But
really been something.
I'm really glad that you guys found something that is at least like giving improvement and showing things that kind of are working for him. Because I know that that was definitely been a frustration for you. Just not
Mhm.
knowing how to help, not knowing what to do. And all of that. So I'm really glad that you found some things, that can help, and he seems to be responding positively to. That's important. So so then my question for all of you as we slowly like try to move towards something with more fun subjects is, so obviously you guys are all gaming dads. I play with Jacob. I play with
Mhm.
Kevin. So we definitely game. I do
Well,
know
you
that
need a
Ryan is. I
dialogue
was
with you.
surprised, Chuck, that you play. I was
Oh,
surprised. I didn't think you did. I don't know why I didn't. You're the president. I didn't think you did. I don't know why. Um, and I know that Fall of Marvel, plays sometimes too. So how have you found that video games has been a source of connection? Has it been something that has maybe helped your kids focus, with certain things? So how has gaming played a role in that?
For me, and I'll make my answer quick. My oldest son is a gamer. Like, he games. He has a Switch. He took my PlayStation 4 the second I got a PS5. Like, he came in here and asked for it. He's like, "Hey, you got that already? Let me get that, pops." And like, he plays Destiny, which is funny to me, but okay. He plays Destiny. He plays Pokemon, but early on he had trouble reading. Like,
Hmm.
he just wasn't picking it up, and so we got him the Switch, and he had an iPad, and he likes gaming so much that he started picking up reading from the gaming,
Hmm.
because he wanted to
Oh,
understand what the story was saying. He wanted to play by himself. He didn't want to have to wait for us. And then on top of that, he wants to be a game designer. Like, he's been saying
oh,
that since he was like 3. Like, he's
okay.
already started learning Python and everything, but he realized, in
Okay.
order for me to do this, I have to be able to read. And
Yeah.
so he can write a very, very simple print statement in Python. He reads his games. I'm very, very proud. Now, my youngest, he's not a gamer at all, but he's still young. But
Mhm.
my 6 year old, that's how it's helped us. He's a huge Pokemon fan, and if anyone knows me, I'm a huge Pokemon fan. Yesterday, I just 6-0'd him in a battle real quick because he got a little bit too big for his britches. He thought he could take me on. I was like, all right. You're gonna find out the hard way. He left crying and mad, but it was a learning experience for him.
Toughen them up. Hey, that's what you say. Sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta beat your kids in video games just to remind them where they at in the food chain. It
Yep.
happens.
Yep.
Everybody
I
does
had a
that.
similar thing. I had a son. He had a really hard time reading. He just didn't want to read, but he
Mhm.
wanted to play. He wanted to play like Monster Hunter really bad on the
Mhm.
Wii, and I was playing. He's like, "Hey, can I play it?" He's like, "Well, all right, I'll let you play." And then every 5 seconds, he's like, "Well, what do I do now?" I'm like, "Dude, it's telling you what to do on the screen." He's like, "Well, I well." I'm like, You know what, bro? I'll tell you what. You can play this game. You can play this game when you can play it without needing any help from me.
Yep.
Read
Exactly.
everything on the screen, and you can learn to do and you got it. And he was just like, some kids would be like, well, fuck it.
Yeah.
I guess we won't play. But he like he really like
Yeah.
wanted to play. And then
Yeah.
also I have a shoot. Out of all my kids, I think 4 of them are gamers, and 3 of them are like really like 2 of them are like really hardcore, and then one of my daughters, she's like
Eh.
she kind of goes like back and forth, but they're all my kids are on some nerd shit to some degree,
Nice.
because
Yes, sir.
Look what their dad is. I
I
mean,
won't I won't have it in my house.
okay, so
Yeah, man.
Charles Jacob, what about
My
you?
son, so my son is 5 now. He just turned 5 on March 23rd. And we're just getting to the point where we can game together. So I started him off with like he had like a little leapfrog video game.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
He could play,
Mm-hmm.
he could
Yeah, I
climb
miss them
ladders and stuff
things.
like that.
Yeah.
But now they got him where you can hook it up like a console on the TV. So I gave him that. But now we just started playing, like maybe for the past month, we were playing Mario Kart 8 together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's why I love what you said, because I will. The only concession I give my son is I will put it on 50cc. That's
No.
it.
See, my son beat me in Smash Brothers, and I got mad, and I was like, all right. And I suck at Smash Brothers. And he was like, and he said it. That's when I was like, all right, you will never beat me in another game as long as you live.
Talking
He was,
about Mario Kart.
he
Yo,
was
I
like,
love
damn,
it.
Dad, you're bad at this game. I'm like, oh, bet. All right.
So look,
when
so
the
now
when the
he's good.
fighting games come out, that's when like that's when everybody gets involved. Like
Yeah.
even my wife, she'd be like, "What?
Oh, shit.
Did I
Oh,
just hear Soul Calibur music?
Mortal Kombat.
Is that what we're doing right now?"
Yep.
So
yeah,
Charles,
I
what
Yes,
love
about
it.
sir.
you?
Boy. Heard that
You
soul
Yeah.
burning, boy.
So, so my son really only has taken an interest in video games probably in like the last year or so.
Mhm.
I had to kind of take a step back because I had to open myself to games that were appropriate for his age level
Mhm.
because I would
Mhm.
be playing like Last of Us and that type of stuff. And my wife
Traumatizing him right out the gate.
and my wife would be like, I don't know that that's appropriate. And I said, yeah, it's not, but he's not
You might
really
be right.
understanding it. But once he started to come into his understanding of things, I had to stop. When he was born, I played a lot of Red Dead Redemption in front of him, and he was just an infant, so it didn't
Yeah.
matter. But now I have to be more cognizant of, he's very impressionable, he's young. So I had to take a step back and, like we have a Wii still hooked up. Don't ask me why. My wife still plays Wii for some reason.
No
Um,
judgment.
Yeah, that's a
no
good point.
judgment, no judgment.
Hey,
And I
if it
always tell her,
works.
like, can we at least get a Switch? Like, can we at least get that? Because I have
Upgrade.
this,
Yeah, let's just upgrade a little bit.
yeah, and like now my son is taking an interest in Switch, and I feel like I probably might end up getting him one. But I just feel like it's a great bonding opportunity, and I had to again I had to take a step back and say I have to be open to download Paw Patrol on my PS5. I have to be open to play. For some reason he likes to play Wheel of Fortune on PS5, and I'm like,
Hey,
okay,
hey, but that's
No,
spelling
Charles,
though. That's
Charles,
spelling
that's
though.
your,
That's
that's
yeah.
your
spelling.
son. That's why.
That's
That's Charles.
spelling.
So
Exactly. That's
there's certain
spelling.
games,
That's a
there's certain
very
games that he wants
inquisitive
to play
choice.
that
Yes.
I would never want to play otherwise. But it's like if it's an opportunity for us to sit down and he knows how to use the controller and stuff, I'm all for it. He has taken an interest in kind of the history of video games. So in my basement, we have
Nice.
a big crate of old video games. We have Nintendo, PS1. I think there's an Xbox down there. And he's always asking about like, well, what did you play on PS2? And I'm like, well, let's go downstairs and see what games we have. So I have one of those retro Sega Genesis consoles that he plays.
Nice.
So it's been really cool to see the kind of evolution of his interest developing in video games. And like I said, like I've been a gamer all my life, so that's something that I think is a very special thing for us to share together. And the thing about being a parent is you never want to impose their interests on them. Like, I don't want to force him to do anything.
Yeah.
But if he just so happens to take an interest in video games, that's great because I can help him teach him about the history of games and a lot of hand-eye coordination stuff and problem
Yep.
solving. Like we play Lego games together. And
Yep.
I'm
I hate
40
those
years
damn
old and I
games.
hate Lego games because there's
I
always some
hate those
shit you got to
goddamn
figure
Lego
They're
out
games.
and
fun.
do
I
this and
like
do
them.
that. And I'm like, you know what? This is actually fun. I like playing Lego with him, and it's like it's teaching me patience, but it's also teaching him patience as well because he'll come up to something and not know what to do, and I'll say, okay, Jackson, let's take a step back. Let's figure out what each character has this power, so that
Yep.
character can't do this, that character can do this.
Yep.
In order to progress in the level, we have to do what we need to do. So
And
Yep.
I love it.
That's
It's a
something I
great,
learned too.
Yeah.
feeling.
Like your gaming time with your kid is not your gaming time.
right, yeah.
No.
It's
That's
theirs.
not when you try to beat the level. That's not when you try to beat the hard boss. No,
Uh,
it's
Nope.
all about whatever's going on between
them
the
Lego
two.
games, boy. Hey, let's
Yeah,
take
They're
a,
so fun.
let's take a
when
step
they're
back and
young,
turn them
when they're
off.
young like that, yeah, that gaming time it's
It's
all
all
about
good.
them.
Yeah.
It gets so much better when they get older, guys. Like I'm telling you, like
It
my
does.
son will
It does.
come and knock on the door and be like, "Hey, so me and the guys are about to hop on Battlefront 2. You want in?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, all right." And then like we'll get in, like they'll start talking shit to each other, and he'll be like, "Hey guys,
My
my
dad's
dad's
on.
on
Yep.
here."
Yep.
And I'll be like, no, I'm fuck him. I'm not his dad today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Kevin right now.
that's
No, but I mean
that's
that's true.
cool.
So
Let's get this money.
so then Kyle, with your
Yeah.
son being neurodivergent,
hmm
has he shown, and with him being young still, has he shown any interest at all in video games at all?
My son first picked up the controller at 1.5, and he's not put it down. Okay.
Wow.
He's
That's
because I played a lot of video games with him. Just as he grows up. I mean, we played a lot of sensory videos, watched a lot of music stuff like that. So like he's always intuitive to that stuff. So me playing a lot of video games, he picked up PS5 controller messing around, and he really got into playing that Astro's Playroom that's like free
Mm.
on the PS5.
Hmm.
He played the hell out of that game like so much, and it's like as time went on he continued to get better and better at it. And it's like even with him being 3, it's like again like last year, like well after he started turning 2, like he was actually like moving through the stages
Yeah.
and knowing where to go and how to get there, asking me for help when he needed it and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like the interest is definitely there because every so often he still wants to mess around with different games. Like he was either playing that or messing around like on the practice stage on Rocket League and stuff and just messing around. And oh, the other thing too was he wanted to play the Spider-Man PS4 Spider-Man messing around. And of
Oh,
course, I didn't really expect a whole lot with that. But he loves the character Spider-Man already. So it's just like, okay, I'm just moving around and at
I mean,
first
you're
he was
making
just
him jump and swing. I mean,
right,
well, yeah, I mean that's
right,
fine.
right. But
Yeah.
what was interesting is that like at some point while he was playing that, he eventually figured out the web zip mechanic.
mhm.
So he didn't quite
Oh.
understand like the web swinging part, but he understood like how the web zip part works. So he was using that to get around. So and I'm just like, dude, you've surpassed me at
That's a
that
proud
age. Cause
moment.
like I didn't touch a controller till like I was about 3, the first time I even touched Mario Brothers, and even then I wasn't that good at that age. So it's like,
It
dude, you completely surpassed me as a gamer at that age.
And it really is amazing how fast kids pick up on video games. So like, I'm a mom. My daughter plays video games. So what Kevin was talking about can relate. And honestly, when I've played with Kevin, when I play with Jacob, you guys have played with my daughter, like, because we be on playing with each other. You know what I'm saying? But it is amazing how quickly kids be like, well, wait, how did I do that? And then they do it
Mhm.
again. And the next thing you know, they figured out how to do that motion.
Yep.
You'd be like, how did you figure that out? I was trying to, I don't know. I was just pressing a button. And then they want to show you what
How
they
to do it?
did.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it really is
Yeah.
amazing how that works. And I've raised a gamer, and what you guys were talking about before about how you don't really want to impress what you love onto your kids. You just kind of do it, and sometimes your children pick up on it, sometimes
right.
they don't. And I was very
Mhm.
lucky enough to have a daughter that games, so me and my daughter game together, and it's really so fun.
Yeah,
I enjoy it, so I'm glad that you guys have all I'm really also glad you guys have used it not only for teaching opportunities but growth opportunities with your kids, them having trouble
Mhm.
reading, and you're like, well, how about this, let's make a deal.
yeah,
And then that's a way that you can help them, and they're letting you help them at the same time. They're not like, rebelling against or push it because they don't, whatever. I think that's really important that you guys have all found those things. That's really great. Oh, look at
Yeah.
y'all. Look at
I'll
all the
tell you this
dads on my
about me.
panel. I'm so
You know,
proud of
you
y'all.
know. I
Look,
mean,
I'll tell you this
really.
about
I mean, shoot. When kids, I mean, really, all you gotta do is just take an interest in whatever it is they're interested in, and sometimes
Yeah.
if you're lucky, like your interest will
line up.
intersect, and you'll be like, oh shit. Like I had my son Jonte. He didn't. I'm a big comic book nerd. He doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily read comic books, but he'll go on YouTube and he'll watch like comic explain videos. Especially now that every time like a Marvel movie comes out,
Yeah.
he'll go
Yeah.
online, he'll look up something, he'll just come in and be like, "Hey, so hey, do you know about like
You were like,
pull,
son,
pull up a seat,
son. Right,
we'll
like,
talk."
me.
Stuff like that. It's like,
Yeah.
I love being able to like just like info dump on my kids like that when they start, or like one kid will want to, like my son Kevin, he'll talk to me, he'll want to come talk about like Star Wars,
Mhm.
oh God.
Mm,
and
Oh,
it's just like, so it,
love it.
It's a beautiful moment. That's how my son is with
yeah.
anime. Like I'm an anime fan, and so when he was born is when I really got into anime. And we watched Naruto Shippuden together. He was, a couple months old watching it, and now he probably knows as much about Naruto as me. What makes me so proud, he hates Hiruzen as much as I do. It is so beautiful. Like you don't understand. He hates him as much as I do, and I cried a little bit because
Oh
it was such
Lord.
a beautiful moment.
that is
Oh,
always amazing when when you guys, when you can bond like that with your kids over somebody you hate,
Yep,
whew,
yep.
I'm just waiting for my son to get all the way through Berserk.
My son
oh,
is not a
Oh
big anime
goodness.
fan, but I showed him One Piece, and he went around for a month just blowing his fist up.
That's the way.
It was
Like right
about
now,
as long,
mine got the straw
about
hat.
as long as that.
He made me order him a straw hat, and he's walking. I'm gonna be the Pirate King. I'm like, yes, that's right. You are 100% gonna
That's
be the
right, baby.
Pirate King.
I love
Yeah.
it. So, so
Yeah.
so this is like kind of my final question as we're kind of winding down. And, again, thank you all for like doing this. This has really been great. Um, what are some things that, and this one I really want everybody to be able to answer. So like when I ask
Mhm.
this question, we could start with like Jacob and Ryan and then go to Kyle. I keep messing Kyle's name up. Follow Marvel. I've been doing that since the podcast. He'd be like,
You
my
really
moniker is
have.
right here though. I have. He'd be like, but my moniker is like right here. And I'd be like, Kyle, sorry. I'm sorry. I love you. And then we'll
And
I
you
do
were
the
know.
asking
bottom
I
about it
know.
row.
first. That's the funniest part. Like, you want me to call you Kyle or Follow Marvel? Follow Marvel, please. All right, cool. As soon as the podcast, like,
It's
hey, this
like,
is Kyle.
listen,
Wow.
yeah, it is. It is. It's like that outtake of Rush Hour where Chris Tucker kept calling Jackie Chan and insane. That's kind of what it is. I keep saying Kyle. That be me to follow Marvel.
Hmm.
Um, but as as men coming in, and so some of you are older, some of you are younger, and still obviously always learning and evolving and learning things, being a father, being a man. But what are some things that you want to make sure your kids learn from you, whether it's about manhood, whether it's about life? And I say manhood, and I'm even talking to those of you who have daughters, because that does affect them too, right? Your girls are going to go out here and find guys, so as a man, as a father, what are some things that you want to make sure you teach your kids? It doesn't matter if it got taught to you, it doesn't matter if it didn't get taught to you, and you had to learn on your own. But what are some of those things that you want to make sure your kids learn from you?
That it's okay to take your time. and that you're allowed to be as weird as you want to be.
Yeah. For
I
me,
feel like I grew up in Baltimore, and I grew up in a time period where, like, nerdiness was a little bit more,
It
a little
wasn't
hit.
in. It wasn't
Well,
in.
it
Yeah,
wasn't
it wasn't
quite
in.
in. And I fortunately I got the privilege to move around a little bit, and I got to meet different people, and I saw how like how other people were nerds. You know what I mean? How they were just allowed to be weird in public. Allowed, I say, quote unquote. But I want him to know that like you can take your time with life in general, and you can figure this out. You can figure your stuff out, all your little quirks. You know what I mean? You don't have to rush. You don't have to try to like lessen yourself to fit in with somewhere. Like, no, take your time. I think I always felt rushed as a kid. You know what I mean? But
Life honestly might have grew a lot of us up too quick. That's a podcast for another day, but
yo,
that could be something.
yeah.
But okay, Ryan, what about you?
um, I want to freedom. Like I want you to feel free to do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. Be who you are. I don't care. Me growing up, I had rules. My mother was a teacher. My family was, Christian. Like it was pretty stifling. And it's just like you can't do this way. You have to do this way. You have to do this. You have to go to college. Like for my kids, I just want them to know, like, hey, my job here is to support whoever you want to be. Be the best version of you can be. You know, do what you want. Don't worry about me being proud of you or happy with what you do. I'm not going to be happy with every single thing you do, and neither is your mother. But I will always be proud of you, and I'll always love you, and I will always support your decision. I want them to make sure that they know always have the freedom to make a decision that involves them. If it's something about you, you make that choice. That's not for I can't make a choice that affects you all the time. Like right now, yeah, they're babies. So sure, certain things I have to make the choice for you for. But as they get older, I give them more and more rope. Like you go ahead and you make this is your choice or your mistake to make because what's a mistake to me may not be a mistake to you.
Mhm. That's
So
good.
go fly. That's what I want. I want you to go fly, and I'm your safety net. If you crash, I'm here. I got you.
Nice. Okay. Follow
right.
Marvel. Got it right. I got it
Yes, thank you, thank you. So, I mean, just to echo what's been said, I think for both of my boys, I want them to be able to find whatever makes them unique. Do I want to keep them protected? Absolutely, but I also don't want to stifle them either. So it's just a matter of wanting to understand both of them who they are, knowing that knowing they can come to me about whatever they feel or whatever, that it's an open and honest relationship, between us, and just going from there, just on the strength that, for me, I didn't never had a father figure, not a real positive one. And the one I did had, it's just like I can't even really count it. And the fact that, but I also never really held it against my father because he had his own issues even before I came into the picture. So did I wish he was there more? Yeah, but I never hated him or anything like that. So it's just a simple fact that I want to be there for my sons and let them know that they can, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever the case would be. It's like, look, I'm not going to tell you can't do anything. I'm not going to say that like you this, that, and the third or whatever. It's because it's a matter of just like finding your own place and having that safe place and freedom to do that, which I can't really say that I ever really had a whole lot. So, it just really comes down to just like, just saying, just letting my boys know that, whatever it is that you have a passion for, whatever it is that you want to do in this, then the third, you absolutely do that. And I also want them to know that they don't owe me
Mm,
anything.
right. Mm.
yeah.
I don't ever want them to make them feel like they owe anything to me.
Mhm. That's good.
So, because it's just like, hey, because at the end of the day, it's all about respect and all that, and they are individuals or whatever. And it's just like, I know that I'm going to do my absolute best as your father. And, reciprocating love, you do have how you could do that, whatever, but don't ever think that you owe me anything to where it stifles you.
Mm,
I don't ever want to put that burden on my kids.
that's a good one. Okay. Kevin, what about you?
For me, actually, I tell my sons, um, when you guys are older and you have kids of your own, it is a parent's number one duty to make their kids' life better than theirs,
Mm,
with better than their childhood was. So whether your childhood was good, bad, or indifferent, make your child's childhood better. Like you guys didn't want for anything. Was I perfect? Not by any stretch of the imagination. But when you have your own family, take all the stuff that you didn't like about your childhood and then make it better for your kid.
yeah.
For my daughters, I tell them to protect their energy at all costs. At all costs, don't let anyone make them feel small.
Yeah.
I encourage them to embrace their power and to embrace who they are. I tell my kids as a whole, don't be afraid to be who you are. Don't think that we don't understand. Don't think that we will. Don't ever think that we don't understand, because we do. We've been there, and you can lie to everybody. Don't lie to us.
Yeah.
You tell us the truth so we can lie for y'all.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a good one. All right. Charles?
I want to piggyback off what the fallen Marvel said because when he said it really resonates with me because when he said our kids don't owe us anything, they don't.
Same.
We owe them
Mhm.
everything. And for me, it really comes down to creating both of them was a conscious decision. We sat down and said, okay, we want to have children, and we did so.
Mhm.
So for me, it became a situation where I want to pour everything I can into my kids, and I want to be very deliberate about the way I'm raising them, what I'm teaching them. There's not much difference between what I would tell my son versus my daughter. There's a 3-year gap between them, of course, but specifically for him, and for her as well, I don't want them to be, as Audre Lorde said, I don't want them to be crunched into other people's fantasies for what they should be and other people's expectations. I'm raising a black boy in America, as you all are, and what comes with that. So for me, it's just about I want them to be in this world who they are meant to be, and whatever I can do to support that, financially, emotionally, whatever I have to do to help them get to where they want to be, even if it's not where I see them or I think that they should be. None of that matters. We have to understand. I really get annoyed when people say this is my mini me. It's not your mini me. That's a person that you brought into the world who has to live their own life. And we can't
Mhm.
look at it as, oh, this is just a clone of myself. My son is already very much different from me. I'm sure my daughter will be very different from me. So when it comes to masculinity and kind of shedding some of those more toxic traits that we impose on men, especially black men, I want to give him all of that. I want to give her all of that to make sure that they have the life that they deserve. And I say that very deliberately. They deserve the best my wife and I can possibly give them. And whatever we have to do to make sure they have a good life. And when they get to be older, they can look back and say, Mom and Dad, they really did that. They really gave us everything that they could, and we're better off for it.
Yep.
That's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's
Like
great.
I
Oh,
I literally want my kids to surpass me.
Yes.
Like
yes.
that's
Yes.
my thing. Like it's always been this weird thing to where it's like my ability to take in information and utilize information that always seemed like it's like always been that thing to where like you show any kind of smarts, it's like it kind of get that sense like my parents is like I know she didn't intend to, but it always kind of like that whole you think you better than me kind of thing.
Mhm.
And it's just like, no, I'm just trying to help. And
Right.
I'm fairly certain that the a lot of us know what that feels like.
It wasn't
So
my mom who did that. I have family
uh,
members who did that though. Like,
yeah.
oh, you and I'm just like, I just happen to be excellent at doing this thing and I want to go do this thing. It's not a dig at you.
Right.
I can show you what I know, maybe you be, so I didn't really have
Yeah.
that with my parents, but I did have that with family members that I've had to
Yeah.
distance from. So
Yeah.
I can understand, and I really also hope as we come to the end, because I've had you guys for an hour and I love all of you and I'm so glad that you did this. I also really hope that, and this obviously this could be a part two podcast if we wanted to do another
Oh,
part
for
two, but
sure. For
but
sure.
I really hope also too that, and especially like the stuff that conversations I've had with Jacob before, me and Charles have had some very deep conversations, about different things. But I really also hope that you guys share with your boys to be vulnerable and being emotional is a good thing. Especially if so
Mhm.
many of you didn't have that, it wasn't encouraged. It was, we all know, again, talking about toxic masculinity and Charles and how that has affected men, I think, in a lot of ways that I think even men don't acknowledge or want to acknowledge or maybe even know to acknowledge. But I think it's really important, especially if you're raising, all of you raising young men, letting them know that being emotional and being vulnerable and embracing whatever the emotions are is a
Mhm.
good thing.
It
And
is.
and it's an important thing. And so I hope that
It
you
matters.
guys are, I'm sure you guys are teaching and expressing that and having those conversations too. So I think that's great. So, okay, well,
Yeah.
I mean, we are coming to the end of the podcast because I have held you all hostage for pretty much almost an hour. Um, is there anything you guys want to, part with? Anything you guys want to say at all?
Thank you for putting this together. This was
Oh,
really fun. This is the first time I've podcasted in probably like 2 years, so I've missed
Right.
it. This is a lot of fun. Thank you again for this, Tiffany. This was great.
This is
oh,
my
All right.
first podcast ever, so
Oh,
thank
nice.
you.
yeah. I think it's
Well,
Jacob's too. I think it's
Yeah.
Jacob's first one too.
Definitely,
No, it's not.
definitely echoing
Our
that.
podcast called No Code Switching.
Ah,
Right.
see, learn all kinds of stuff I didn't know. Yeah, and Fallen Marvel and I, obviously, we did the Ethiopian one, so we haven't been
Yeah.
together like this in 2 years, I
Yeah.
think,
It's
something
been
like
about
that.
2.5 years, I think.
Yeah, something like
So
that. So,
it's been a while, but yeah,
yeah.
like I'm just glad to be a part of this as well. Like it's really good energy and stuff like that, and it's very needed. Trust it, like believe
I
me when I
know it
say it's
is.
very needed.
You guys have all had your struggles. I mean, Father's Day weekend is this weekend, but I hope you guys know that fathers like you are really, really important. And it's Father's Day every day, regardless of if there's a weekend that celebrates it. So oh yes, Charles, please go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, no, no.
I know you probably wouldn't say this because you're obviously the host, but I want to thank you, Tiffany, for
Oh,
shedding light on this subject. I don't know everybody on the call as well, but I've had interactions with most of you. But I
Yeah.
will say that I would submit that, Tiffany, you making this a topic, you wanting to do this with Black fathers specifically. Anybody who doubts that Black fathers are involved, active,
yeah,
doing the damn
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
you watch this podcast and you see what
Right.
these brothers are talking about, and then you get back to us and you tell us what Black fathers are.
Right.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, and
It's
black men are not a monolith, just like black women are. All of you have your own life story. All of you have, your own struggles. All of you have your own truths. All of you love differently. I mean, you guys are all different, but you guys are trying to do the same thing, which is raise your boys better than you were, better than we were, and I think that's
yeah.
very important. You do, like you said, there is always this stigma that black fathers are not involved, especially black fathers who are not with the mothers, that kind of thing,
Hmm.
that stigma, but it's not true. It's really not true, and you guys are a small microcosm. I have a lot of men friends that are great fathers, whether they're with the mother or not. And it's definitely something that needs to be talked about, celebrated, and, and then hopefully you guys learn some new shit. You know what I'm saying? When you guys are talking about different stuff, you got new perspectives and different things. So, it was just something that popped up in my head that I really wanted to do. So, thank you for giving me that. But it's really meant for me to give to you because you all didn't have to take this time. And so I'm very glad that you took an hour out of your day, a little bit more. Ryan dropped the kids off at the neighbors, whatever. So,
Yeah, because
but yeah.
they would have been interviewed. You'd been interviewing them if they were still here.
Yeah.
My
So
my
yes.
5-year-old is calling me right now to wipe his
Yeah,
butt.
no, I'm gonna end it. So again, thank you everybody for participating in the podcast. Thank you everybody who's gonna watch and listen to this podcast. Maybe we will do a part two, another podcast from the male perspective and talking about different things. You never know. There's plenty of stuff. So be on the lookout. This podcast will be out there you can find it on Spotify, Amazon Music. I'm gonna have my YouTube channel up pretty soon, hopefully on Twitch too. So there'll be plenty of ways to watch and listen to this podcast. So thank you for your support. I love you all. And I'll see you guys next time.
Later.
All right.